excited. I apologize I have not been on to have a show for you for the month of August. I had to do a little rest and relaxation and resetting, so I took a little vacation with me and the kids. And then, so now we're back in full effect. I got an amazing guest. I talked about her last month, but give a little teaser. I have Shafika with PlantChicks and your Afro plant-based collective. So she has an amazing group that they promote plant-based living, plant-based eating, growing from your own garden and things like that. So I got her on today and she's going to cook us, or will make and then cook us an amazing dish today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I also have Gabby in the house today. Gabby, you'll see her face in the building. Gabby is a new healthy living coach and soon to be personal trainer here at Linwood. So you will see her here creating great impact and building relationships with all the members. You guys, so when you see her in the building, say hi, give her a lot of love, welcome her to the team. So we appreciate her. But yeah, so Shafika, tell me about PlantChicks, what's going on?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. First of all, we are new as of 1 year to Kansas City, Missouri.
Yay.
Also a Texan like Gabby, coming from Dallas, Texas, but I am from San Antonio, Texas. So PlantChicks is a concept that was grown out of my holistic wellness business.
Okay.
I'm also a certified kinetic yoga instructor, and whenever we're sharing wellness with people, we realize that to be holistic, you have to be able to give tools for your mind, body, and your spirit. And part of your spirit has to do with how we engage with food, because for most of us, most cultures, food is at the center of everything that we do.
Yeah.
Food is medicine, it's art, it's, like I said, it's culture, it's social. And one of the challenges that people have with adding plants, which is our mantra, just add plants, whatever your political views are on food, having more plants is always a good idea, is that they run out of ideas, right? I have to take this down for a second. They run out of ideas. And I was just talking to Gabby while we were setting up, and she was sharing that she's been plant-based for well over a decade, and one of her greatest challenges is variety. And so we just want to invite people into a healthy food relationship. And in doing that is to find where you can get great deals on food. Garden to table is my preference. We don't all have that option. Where in your community, if you're in a food desert, how can you connect with other people in your community to get to places that have fresh produce? We are so happy that we are living in America's breadbasket, because Kansas and Missouri are full of food. There are farmers on the side of the road. There are people growing food. There are markets. It's a beautiful community to be in to source food. More importantly, we want to show people how to have a sustainable food practice. So you can't buy food, and we talked about going to Whole Foods is great for certain select items, or if you are at a price point where you can sustain it. Most of us cannot.
Yeah.
So PlantChicks really specializes in helping families and individuals be able to cook affordable, sustainable, healthy, healing meals for less than $20. And we don't mean just for yourself. You may want to have a friend, a family, a neighbor, bring it to work. So today we're going to showcase one of my favorite, most versatile dishes. We call it vegan tuna. It also has been called just a raw salad. For those out in viewer land that do not care for fish, I know Gabby said I was never a fish person, I didn't like tuna. It doesn't have a fish taste. You have some options, and we'll talk about variations, but it's a very versatile dish. It is fibrous, it is raw, so for anyone who wants more raw in their diet, this is a very safe dish in that way. It carries well, it saves well, and it can turn into a lot of other options that we'll discuss today. I'll just quickly go. The Afro Plant-Based Collective is a concept and a space to be able to invite in partnerships. Like Sister Teela is not only a plant-based ambassador herself, but also with your fitness regimen. Both of you all help move people into their goals in life. And some people get a spark and want to start doing more. And so the Afro Plant-Based Collective is meant kind of threefold. It's for plant-based chefs and culinarians to be able to get support for their businesses, for us to be a collective. So we have done things like assist other chefs and culinarians financially to be able to go and vend at festivals that otherwise don't have plant-based options. We have done things like support people getting from where they are in their business. Maybe they are working out of their home. you know, under cottage law, being able to invest from the back office side of things to be able to catapult their business, even if it's not a brick and mortar, but to be in compliance, to have more options.
Yeah.
And one of the things we're doing since getting here is just offering support to existing businesses, whether it's in sweat equity. I'm willing to show up. I have gone to culinary school. I myself, you know, serve safe manager certificate, and it's being able to help train people so that your business can
So some people don't know that. I was at A160 and I did see someone wasn't aware that they would have to pay that fee, and they couldn't vend that day.
Absolutely.
You know, things like that. We don't know if you don't know, if you've never vended before. You know, you have to pay those fees right up front.
Right up front.
And it's not that you've already paid your share safe and your food handling services thing. You got all these things in the back end, but day of vending, you still got to fork out another couple $100.
Absolutely. We actually were met with at a major festival. One of the requirements was having a K-series, which is used in a kitchen if there's frying, a K-series fire extinguisher. It ranges from $300 on up. Okay, so this isn't just your regular kitchen fire extinguisher, you have to have it. So that could have shut down a lot of people, and it was almost a barrier for us for this major festival. But again, we were a collective. There were a group of 2 other chefs. They have their own freestanding businesses. We came together and we were able to do 4 days of vending at a major international festival, bringing plant-based options. And we had so many people come to us and say, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not vegan, but this was so good. And it was great because now they have something else they can do.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about variety.
Variety and options.
It's about variety and options. So today I'm happy to share with everyone how we make this plant-based delight. Where I'm going to start, I'm going to put this right over here so that we don't burn up the kitchen. Where I'm going to start with this vegan tuna is the ingredients. So we're going to quickly go through the ingredients. These are all very inexpensive things. As I mentioned, this is a raw salad. So these are gala apples. I've already sliced them up. In a recipe, if you use, say, a pound of carrots, then you would probably use 2 of these apples sliced up. This is ginger. I have a very small amount. It's about 1 inch worth of ginger, a small nub, because ginger is pretty powerful. In my household, we love ginger, so we don't skimp on it, but other people's palates are not always ready for that. And then here we have good old garlic, fresh garlic. So to buy this whole multiple cloves of garlic in a store is probably about $2. And so I'm giving prices for a reason. This is a yellow onion that's been cut up, probably about 3/4 of the onion, a really small one. And these are 2 stalks of celery that have been cut. Prior to the show, we went ahead and put this in Teela's wonderful Ninja, and we minced all of these savory ingredients together. So this is the onion, the celery, and the garlic already minced. You can chop them. If you do not have a food processor, get an extra sharp knife and chop those ingredients. I also have scallion. A lot of people, meaning me, I enjoy the flavor of different types of onions and really layering it on. So I have scallion. Gonna go through very quickly our ingredient list. Everyone likes their tuna different, right? I am from a Afro-Caribbean Southern household where everything is found in a spice cabinet. So this is just garlic, onion powder. This is turmeric. Okay, I try to include turmeric in most of my recipes. Again, the healing element to your food is making sure that you have ingredients that really help to promote health. And turmeric is a natural anti-inflammatory, especially when it's paired with black pepper. So I also have in here sweet relish. We were just talking before. Please check the ingredients on any of the items that you buy. Don't get high fructose corn syrup in your condiments. This is spicy brown mustard. Again, it comes from a mustard seed. It also has wonderful elements for your body. Fine sea salt. I have 2 of my own personal favorites. Here at the River Market, shouts out to the Tika House. It is a spice, a family that imports spices from the East. They are absolutely amazing, more spices than you've ever seen. Right. For $2, you get a scoop that will more than fill this. Okay, I said $2. McCormick's charges you like $4.
$4.99.
They've been on the shelf for we don't know how long. But this is a blend that they make, and they make a number of salt-free. This is a salt-free fish blend. It has everything from smoky paprika to parsley and thyme in it, and this is a salt-free garlic pepper. So again, getting those blends that reduce the amount of salt. Yeah. We also have, because these are melts that we're making today, this is a plant-based alternative cheese, Violife or Violife. Shouts out to Violife. I really love this product. If you're a grilled cheese person, this right here, it'll give you what you want. It melts very well too.
They got a white cheddar, the regular cheddar, and the shreds are good too.
The shreds are great. I enjoy the product. And just for the record, dairy cheese is pretty expensive right now, and so if you are lactose intolerant and having a hard time making that transition, stop torturing yourself, because plant-based cheese costs about the same. This is a giant, I do mean giant, 30 count of corn tortillas made from masa corn that we are going to use for our melts. And this is what you use for making your tuna creamy. This is sweet Vidalia onion dressing. It is vegan safe. There's no dairy in it. And this is a plant-based mayo. And this will be my first time using this product, so I'm very excited to try it out.
Price point, it was $4.99, so it was cheaper than the other ones that I've seen. So that's why I was interested in getting that today, because I think the Hellman's is
like $8.
But it is the big one. I will say it's that.
And I also want to shame all of the stores here, because it wasn't that much. It used to be $4.99. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say Walmart, a place that I try to stay out of, has Hellman's a lot less expensive. Or Hy-Vee will sell it to you when they have a BOGO, 2 for 1.
Or Wellness Wednesdays at Hy-Vee, like today, you get 10% off of all their health foods.
So make it happen. Okay, so we're going to start by actually creating this dish. I'm going to move this on camera. The secret to the dish, we may need to move the camera. The secret to the dish is that all of these ingredients go together in a blender. I'm sorry, not a blender, but a juicer. In a juicer. So we are going to take the carrots, which is the main ingredient that I saved for last, the star. Turn this juicer on. And I'm going to drop the apples, the ginger, and the carrots. We're using baby carrots because they were already washed and cut. Please use fresh organic if you can. And they all go inside the juicer. I can smell the ginger. Oh, the effervescence. So good, so good. It makes a lot of noise, but it makes a lot of good too. These ladies had a chance to taste the vegan tuna, and I'll let them give their feedback.
The sample she brought is almost done. Basically. That's halfway gone. That's what we gonna say.
And so that'll speak to the versatility of the dish. Yeah. Okay, so yes, part of cooking, part of life is the therapy of dealing with the food, right? And so I really, really enjoy all of the smells of the kitchen. And the more fresh ingredients you use, the more options you have. So all I'm really doing is taking the pulp, okay? This is the fiber from those ingredients, and I'm putting it into a bowl that I'm gonna mix. Depending on your juicer, how it's powered, it may make a difference in how fine your pulp is. I just take out the large fragments, because remember, this is a raw dish. So large fragments of carrots, or sometimes the skins from the apple can kind of stay intact, and it just changes the texture. I say if you need fiber, leave it all in. But for the sake of presentation, we're taking it out today. I do have a garden, so composting is real. We want to really get in the habit of taking and using food and having a recycling system to where you throw very little away. And later on we'll talk about how this dish actually is able to make multiple other entrees from just this one recipe. So Teela, I don't know if you have the ability to post the recipe, but I'm happy to share it. PlantChicks is about sharing. Teach a man and a woman to fish so that we can feed ourselves every other day. So do not hesitate to ask me for recipes. There will be an official ebook coming out this fall, as well as a recipe book. Yay. That is going to debut on the Tom Joyner Fantastic Voyage, where PlantChicks does a wellness talk as well as I teach yoga. So it's really great. I'm putting in the fish seasoning, the salt-free fish seasoning right now. I wish I had this much help at home. This is the salt-free garlic and herb. I like to turn up flavor and spice, so everything but the kitchen sink. This is the onion powder. Keep in mind we're going to add onions. Layering the flavors though, I don't know if you guys can smell that even through your mask.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is going down. So I'm going to take some of our already pre-cut and just put, this is the onion, the garlic, and the celery. That's what's in here. Okay, and again, it's to taste. I really enjoy very pungent flavors. This is the mayo. Based on the fact that we really only use probably about a quarter, maybe an eighth of a pound of carrots. This is a small serving size. So just kind of gauge it based on how wet you want the consistency. I'd say this is about 3, maybe 4 tablespoons. And also, since this is a different mayo that I haven't used before, I have to get used to how much moisture is in it. Cooking is all about, trying things out, seeing what works. And so this is one of my favorites, Ken's Steakhouse Sweet Vidalia Onion. It is a part of a couple of different recipes that I make. It has a little bit of sweetness to it, very creamy consistency. Oh yes, and some spices in it. It also comes in a reduced fat, which I think it has less sugar content in it as well.
Where does the creaminess come from?
I believe it's a potato starch in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know for me, I'm very sensitive to soy, and I look to stay away from any types of ingredients that increase inflammation. And I know you all work with people that have all different abilities and are looking to transform their bodies for a number of reasons, for health. And inflammation is the #1 supporter of pain. Like, most of us will come and work out and go, oh, that workout was horrible, I'm not going back. And the truth is, your joints are full of plaque, they're full of inflammation, fluid. And so if we can rid ourselves of that, you can come and work out and get super fine. Like, your body will thank you. Less inflammation, less pain, better sleep, better circulation. So as you can see, all I've done is mix those things up in our bowl.
All of less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes, people. And actually, the dish could be done right here. This could be done. I'm going to let you ladies taste it with some crackers.
Crackers.
Oh, I realized I left out 2 ingredients. The turmeric, which again, depending on how much flavor pop you want, that's how you gauge it. What was the last thing? The salt. And I'm always pretty conscious about my salt intake, just because a lot of ingredients already have salt, and plenty of the blends that we buy in the store, they have salt. That's why I'm glad that this is a salt-free garlic blend. So I'm gonna mix this and invite you ladies to try it.
For the first time.
For the first time, while I heat up the skillet.
And then I always tell this story. When I first started cooking, so I'm thinking I'm big dog popping in the kitchen, right? So my first time cooking, I make chili, and I'm so proud of myself. I was like, oh, I made chili. I tasted it; it was so salty. I called my mom, and I was like, Mom,
this is awful.
What did I do? And she's like, well, read me with what seasonings you got. And I was like, well, I got the garlic salt, the onion salt, the seasoning salt. She said, girl,
Nothing but salt.
Nothing but salt.
I was like, let me know what you have. She said, powders, baby.
Powders. Exactly. And that's such a small detail. It's such a small detail that is so big. So how are we feeling? This just got mixed. in front of a live studio audience. Okay, this is what I'm saying. So,
all that.
crackers, you also can use nacho chips. And since again, I stay away from corn because it can be a little inflaming if you're sensitive to it. We have started getting cassava chips as well as putting them in lettuce wraps. So since both of you all help people again on their fitness journeys, one of the things is at different points in time, and I know when you're competing, you have time periods where you cannot have carbs. You 100% cannot have carbs. Carrots are a carb, so I want to say that out loud. Carrots are a carb. Are they the same type of carb in terms of how your body digests as a bread or a pasta? No. Because they also read as a fiber. So a carrot can help move some things out when you need to.
Right, so when I'm cutting my carbs, I still need to keep high fiber because I might have had to adjust my fat, and then I gotta make sure I can still move all my stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when things aren't moving, they're sitting.
Right.
And when they're sitting, they're showing.
Right.
And when they're showing, that can, well, it can feel different in your favorite outfit.
Right.
So aside from vanity health, right? So is there anything that you talk to people about in terms of their health where gut fat is concerned?
Yeah, a lot of times I tell people they're like, oh, I want the flat stomach. Let's just start by what you're eating. Are you getting enough fiber? Are you drinking enough water? Are you doing this? Because 9 times out of 10, you just have a backed up colon.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the answer.
This is a backed up colon.
Yes.
So once you start flushing out, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm using the bathroom more. You should.
You should.
You should be using the bathroom after every
meal. If you bring something in, you should put something out.
Your body should just absorb what it needs and then push the rest of it out.
Yes.
If you are using the restroom, if you're only doing a bowel movement once a day, or I've heard once a week, your digestion is out, and that's why you might feel sluggish or tired because your body is not absorbing what it needs to. It's just kind of sitting there, and then your body almost kind of toxifies itself. It does. Because it's just sitting there. There was a story over on like the ID network. This guy ended up, so he lost his, like, I think his wife and his kid, and he ends up dying of I guess gastrotoxicity.
Oh my goodness, yes.
He did not use he was this kind of what do I say, paralyzed in a sense. He would not use the bathroom, he didn't get out of bed. And at the end of the day,
his body became toxic.
Because he would not
he wasn't eliminating.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that slow to no elimination, it affects your sleep, your skin, it affects your energy level. Obviously, it does affect your weight, but after a while, your body will start to try to compensate, and your lymphatic system is just being stressed out. It's the same when you don't drink water. People may feel that a little more immediately, where you have kind of some pain in your back because your kidneys are like knocking on your spine, like, hey, we're still down here, give us some water, let us clear ourselves out. So having a colon or a gut that is not being moved, fiber basically pulls all of those substances.
It's like an internal brush.
It is.
For your colon.
It is.
And I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian or a doctor, but this is information that's out there. Don't go to WebMD. We talked about WebMD. I'll tell you that you're dying. But
right.
You can go to a lot of the journal of medicines that talk about this. There's a lot more studies being done about the microbiome in your gut.
Absolutely.
An interesting one that I wanted to do some more research on was the difference between babies that are born vaginally versus C-section. And there's that last bit of microbiomes that you get going through the vaginal canal, then the difference of you getting on top of the skin.
Wow.
And there might be difference of why some kids are sensitive to certain foods and diets because they didn't get that last bit of natural antibodies from the vaginal canal.
That's really interesting. And so I think the story behind the story is just the idea that everything that we need, we have in nature. Everything that we need, we really do have in nature. And so that is the whole concept, that is what we do at PlantChicks, is invite people back into this relationship. And one of the things that we find is when you're making food, you're more inclined to eat it. And we've talked about,
I don't want to waste food.
You don't. And we've even talked about showing up to restaurants that you're so excited to eat at. And I support all plant-based restaurants, and I don't mean restaurants that are only cooking vegan and vegetarian food. I mean restaurants that offer food that is plant-based or vegan safe. Now, I will go on record as saying that I do not say that I am a vegan. I am also a beekeeper. There is politics surrounding that term that I really care more about helping people get to a healthy food relationship than kind of spending so much time with
claiming this.
Yes, and I feel like animals are in the same ecosystem as us, and we really need to bring ourselves into balance. So it's kind of like on the airplane, put the mask on yourself first before you can go and save someone else. Okay. So I would love to save a whale or a cow from becoming leather. I also would like to save my brothers and sisters, my grandparents, and I don't have any grandparents living anymore, but my extended family. And so I know that when we start making these shifts, you start to see people being more active and more together. And right now, in these times where health is, it's just so top of mind. Like, so many of us are being paralyzed by the idea of this virus. The truth, though, is the body can only live in balance between alkaline and acid, right? So if you're in an acid state, you're more inclined to be susceptible. So that's what causes your immune system to become compromised. Right. Giving yourself food that is rich in nutrients, plenty of water, like all vegetables and fruits are water rich. Yeah. So you literally could never be dehydrated if all you did was drink fruit juices. Right. But the problem is we add sugar to them, we add, flavor and color enhancers, and all of those things start to pull. They start to pull on the nutrients. So without getting on my soapbox, I did just add the scallion to kick it up a notch. And I've also heated up our skillet. I don't know if you need to pull that over into focus, but we are about to get busy on the part that is super exciting, which is actually making the wraps, right? I like to take and do a little bit of a preheat if you are trying to either cut your fats or be more aware of the types of fats that you take in. I like to cook in oils that don't become too toxic. So using avocado oil is wonderful. Grapeseed oil is wonderful. I love olive oil for frying purposes. For frying purposes,
it's not the best. Yeah,
it isn't the best because when it heats or gets to a certain temperature, it kind of changes its composition. So again, the goal is to be kind to our bodies. Be kind and be gentle. All that I'm doing right now, if you've ever made enchiladas, you kind of take and preheat the actual tortillas so that they will bend and fold. They're more pliable and they don't break when you fold them. And I don't suggest you do this. I have like asbestos hands from cooking over so many years. But if you rub your hand in a hot skillet, you could burn yourself. So I'm doing that. I'm gonna take and move them into another container. And then, I love the close up, I do.
Someone snap a photo for me.
I love it.
All right, there you go. They did it. They did it. I believe in them.
So now what I'm going to do is actually take and put one kind of on the edge of the skillet. Now, again, my hands are very conditioned to touching this hot stuff. I know that everyone isn't that way, so you may have to come up with a better system for handling things. I'm gonna take my cheese out and just break it into pieces. This is the art part of cooking. All I'm doing is putting it in pieces, and if you notice, I'm putting it only on half, just half of it, right? And depending on how many people you have to feed, you can stretch your ingredients however you see best. If you just paid $5 for this cheese, you may not want to use the whole pack on your Tuna Melts. It is just about flavor, and the real MVP is this delicious salad. So I'm gonna take on the spatula and place it almost in the middle, long ways, and I want you guys to see that. Don't let anything get to the lower edge because it will start to bubble over and burn in your skillet. This happens to be a probably a coated skillet so that things don't cook onto it, but like anything else, cheese can start to stick to your skillet. So here's our first melt in our skillet, about to cook, and I'm going to do the same thing. I can move this over to the other side of the skillet, take a second tortilla, and do the same thing. Now, I came from a large family. There were never less than probably 6 children and 2 adults or more in our household. And for that reason, my thought process behind sharing food is always making enough for whoever.
Yeah, right.
So even when I lived by myself, when I was in college, I did not know how to shop for food that wasn't going to be in its full intensity. So I would buy a whole chicken. This is when I ate meat. Buy a whole chicken, break it down. We'd have chicken salad. We'd have chicken enchiladas. We'd have chicken pot pies. And so the concept of having food that can stretch and feed a lot of people, I think is one that most of us can adapt to, because even if you live by yourself, guess what? We have the best technology now.
Right.
We can freeze food. We can
Meal,
vacuum
right.
seal it.
That's the start of meal
That's
prepping.
meal prepping. If you live alone, this meal could show back up on your menu for the next 3 weeks. And honestly, this vegan tuna will keep in your refrigerator. Now, according to Cersei, it shouldn't be more than 7 days. But technically, it could stay for like 10 and still be good, because these ingredients just keep waking up. All the garlic wakes up in it. All of the onions wake up. So as it sits, things are starting to marinate and it becomes more pungent, which I love. And because we're dealing in a different set of oils and there's no eggs in it, because non-plant-based has eggs in it. It just changes its shelf life. And so that's another thing to consider.
Have you ever frozen?
I have not. Probably because it goes really fast.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head. I said that. I'm like,
It don't last a day.
It won't last.
It doesn't last very long, but again, it has been in my refrigerator for a week, and it will morph into all of these other options that we'll go over today. So I'll as this is cooking, I will talk about some other options. Do you all have any questions, comments, or about the process?
No, I think it's good, and I actually like, because when we tried it without the onion. I like it with the onion because it adds a little more.
Another layer.
Not saying that was bad, but too, it almost then gives you that texture of a tuna, because when you have tuna salad, you have the celery, the bigger celery chunks in there, the onions chunks in there. And it doesn't, like I said, it's not fishy tasting, but it's just so good on its own. I don't know how to explain it. I would never thought that you could have did this with carrots. But do you think you could have or maybe make it to it, just did the pulsing of the carrots?
You mean just by themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Like a food processor? Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I'm glad that you said that, Teela, because part of what it is that most people struggle with as cooks, new to the kitchen, people say, I hate cooking, it's too many steps. I am a fan of invest in a couple of really great kitchen tools. However, some of these things are expensive. I have a cousin who goes thrifting, and she found a place that's right by the state line here that sells all of these kitchenwares, very inexpensive, and I'll have to get the name of it, but she has bought stand-up mixers from there. She has bought juicers, electric juicers, and everyone's like, where do you get this from? And she's definitely a homesteader, so she cans food, she's doomsday, stockpile, the real deal, right? Shouts out to Cousin Jasmine. Right. So what I'm saying is that if you don't have a juicer and a blender and a food processor, there are ways of making shortcuts on these things. Obviously, good old chopping with an extra sharp knife. It won't give this time.
Or could you grate them?
You could grate them. Again, you won't get as fine of a texture, because the difference is these have been dehydrated. So part of what the challenge is in cooking plant-based cuisine is that real live fresh plants have a lot of water content, and sometimes the textures that we really desire have to start off with something that's drier. And I'll give you a great example. Mushrooms are one of my favorite textures to be able to replace where meat may have been in any recipe. Mushrooms are so full of water though.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I have to kind of gauge either where I put them, or you put ingredients into a skillet and let them dry out. Give them heat and let that water evaporate, or you sweat them. You can add a little salt, put them on like a napkin, a towel, and let them sweat out. And I'll do that with my eggplants.
I just was telling somebody, we had eggplants from our garden. We have Japanese eggplants and regular eggplants.
Beautiful garden. Linwood is over here killing the game.
Because they're holding down my garden.
Man.
But, somebody was like, well, what do I do with it? I was like, they're like, it's too complicated to use. I said, well, if I'm just going to saute it, I'm not going to sweat it out.
Right.
But if I'm going to do like a fried eggplant parmesan, I'm going to sweat it out because you don't want that extra water while you're trying to fry it because then it gets mushy inside. But if you're sauteing it, it's going to kind of cook that water out anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that is exactly, part of what we look to encourage people. Ask the questions, ask the questions. There are so many culinarians that are open to sharing what they do, and I love your platform. I love that the community is involved, and what I really love about it is that this starts a conversation that can shift how people look at plant-based lifestyles. Typically when we are going to family gatherings, and I know this, and I'm sure you all have both experienced that, within Black families, wherever you are in the diaspora, food is a big deal. When we show up to the summer cookout, and what's the question? Who made the potato salad? Who made the mac and cheese, right? I mean, we're even engaging within our own families whose food is safe. You're like, well, auntie makes a great cake, but don't eat any of her. So this is real for us, and it can almost shut you out of your social practices, especially with friends. When people want to go brunching, right? And they want to go for a happy hour or something like that, or just a girls' night. Now that we are in this pandemic, people are doing smaller groups, things in your home. And if you want to go and engage with your people, you don't want to sit over there eating a salad. I'm completely offended. I want you all to hear this. Vegetarians and vegans do not want salads as an option.
Not all right.
Most of the time your salads are whack, by the way. Just giving me lettuce, tomato with the occasional something else, miss me. And iceberg lettuce should be voted off the island.
Right.
100%.
We're gonna ban it. Right.
We don't even know what iceberg is. All it is like green sickles they've infused water and crunch in. It has almost no nutrient value. The only thing good about it is it will help move some things, all right, if you're eating it by the bushel. But I'm saying that, and just to say that there are so many options.
There's more options.
So many options. And that's why this dish is one of my favorites. I want you all to see this, okay? Do you see how beautiful that is? Oh, it is gorgeous. This is what we live for. It's food that looks good.
Right.
And we're going to talk a little more about food presentation. So you don't have to go to a culinary program to present food to the people that you love, right? And I heard you mention the Saturday program, Cooking with the Children. We did a series in Dallas that was an extension of a summer program where it was, it's kind of 8-week course, and it's all about inviting our children into being the ambassadors of their own households, right? Because when children get a concept, they hold on to it.
Right.
And it is theirs. Right. As we get older, we get a little more rigid. We have our opinions. Sometimes we're not even willing to try something new.
My whole thing, and I didn't point it, I heard it, I think, on a TikTok or somebody else, was like, you too grown to be not like the vegetables.
Right. You're too old for that.
Right.
But what we did was we, PlantChicks would bring all of these ingredients. So I would have the children see fresh ingredients. For some of them, it was the first time. So things that they saw in a finish, they were now able to see as a fresh ingredient. So I'll give you an example of a great class we did. We did parfait bars. So some of the children, I was like, how many of you guys know what parfaits are? And they were like, you get them at McDonald's. I was expecting that. I was expecting somebody to say that. By the way, McDevil's is not a place that we go. I will not sign off on that place. I did my own clothes study back in my late 20s. Went to McDonald's 6 times in 1 month. That's when I still ate fish. and got the same meal, no cheese, just a fillet of fish, that's all, with the fries, I gained 9 pounds. Now, eating plant-based, your weight will start to stabilize, right?
Yeah.
Gained 9 pounds. It wasn't the pounds. All of it was in my gut.
Yeah.
And it was like flubber. That's the way I used to describe it. I looked at my belly and it was almost like I got instant cellulite in my stomach.
Okay.
The only change in my life, I was still running. I was still playing volleyball 3 days a week. McDevil's has the most up, and it's not just McDevil's, it's Murder King, it's all of them, okay? They have what's called partially hydrogenated oils, and that's what's found in a lot of our foods. A oil that is good for you. Your body knows what to do with avocado oil. It knows how to break it down, how to use it for your skin, for your brain, all of that. When you take and you pump hydrogen into it, it becomes a chemical. Your body can process food. It doesn't know what to do with chemicals though. And so where does it send it? A safe place. So that omentum fat, right? The belly fat, which in the health, I am not a doctor, Google these things. In the world of health, carrying excess fat around your stomach is the indicator of bad health.
Right.
That means that there's something that either is already wrong or is on its way to going really bad. And as women, and I will say now, I'm a woman of a particular age, some of the shifts that happen in your hormones, to include the high levels of stress in our regular days, will add to cortisol picking up, or when your estrogen levels change. And I'll hear women say all the time, it doesn't matter what I do, I can't lose this belly. Well, they don't realize that they're eating things that are actually feeding that omentum. It's almost like its own.
It becomes its own little, I don't even know what to call it, but it's like feed me. It's like feed me more.
It is. It literally is. It wants to be its own organ. You know, like your skin is an organ. Your kidneys are an organ. The omentum wants to grow almost like a baby. I think of it like a parasite. It's taking all of the awfulness and blowing your stomach up, and that's just not a good look. All right, so I'm going to take our first batch out. All right, and I just want to go ahead and shout out dollar stores. Dollar Tree. You can be the best hostess in the whole wide world, and by that I mean feeding your family. If you have children or other people in your family that really, really struggle with eating food, have them participate in the food process, and then feed them beautiful food. What is it that they love about eating out? They put garnish on the plate. They actually take and line the fries up in some cute little basket with wax paper. I'm pretty sure Dollar Tree sells all of these things. Sometimes we actually drink, Lawson will tell you, my son will tell you, we take shots of all types of fresh juices. And so we'll take a ginger, and just the other day I gave him ginger and lime, which I juice the whole lime so you get the oil from the skin. And it's a pretty intense shot. Put it in a shot glass, put it in a martini glass, we make mocktails. It's about food presentation, you know. So if you do it for yourself, it even feels special. And so I'm inviting you all to take some time and present your food, not to your guests, to your family, to yourself.
That's a part of self-care. Take it, like, not rushing and eating your food is a part of self-care. And you would think people don't think about it. It's those little things, taking time to eat and like not rushing, and stop eating at your desk and things like that.
Guilty.
I'm guilty of it all the time.
Used to do it.
But those things are a part of self-care. Don't you feel more stressed while you're eating at your desk?
You do.
That raises your cortisol. It's going to, you can't even enjoy your food because you had to scarf it down because you got to go to your next meeting. So you have to think about, eating and things like that as part of your self-care.
Absolutely.
Self-care is the new thing. And
it's the new black, right? It's self-care.
Right, self-care. But we should have been doing this for a long time.
Well, we've lived, this society, I will say, the U.S. is probably at the top of the leaderboard for having the most imbalanced practices. Even when we look at countries in Asia that are high in productivity and manufacturing, and they take time to live their lives in color. People talk about how the French, or in Latin American countries, you take a siesta We even went over to North Africa. People go to get their children during the day to have lunch. So, you know, one of my son's friends went to go to school for all of 3rd grade in France. He was in a language immersion program, and his parents sacrificed a year of their life to have him live there. And those children had, I think, 2 hours for lunch. And it's an experience. It's an experience. You sit with your friends, you have social exchange, you eat your food, you let it digest, you put your things away. It's a thing.
Right.
Like it's a whole thing. So we have to do better for ourselves, even within the framework that we have. I do know everyone does not have the luxury of being at home for lunch and sometimes for dinner.
Yeah.
So if we can maybe do this, an idea, which coming soon, I'm working on co-ops, community co-ops. So the basic premise of a co-op is it's a cooperative. We are all working together, right, for the greater good. So the co-op first starts with the source of food. You have this beautiful garden here at the Linwood YMCA that is growing everything. I mean, we could make so many dishes, we'd go crazy.
Right.
All right. And then there are other people, say, that have access to food. And people have access to food for different reasons. Maybe they didn't grow it, but maybe they're recipients of food from a pantry. Maybe they have someone who works. Like, there's a lot of manufacturing here. Unilever is here. What's the Tyson? There's all these manufacturers here where if you work for a food company, you may have access to items. It could even be something like condiments that could lighten my load. Something that cost me $5, you get for free.
Right.
So it's a culmination of barter.
Right.
I have something of value to you. You have something of value for me.
Right.
And also taking people's what you're available to do. I love cooking. Maybe you like growing the food. Maybe you like chopping the food.
Right.
Maybe someone else is good at containerizing the food. So the co-op is that no one should be wasting food.
Right.
If you go and you get, you know, the 5 pounds of carrots and you really only need 3, I'm gonna take your carrots and give you some onions. Or maybe you make the tuna and I get the, you know, I get the other ingredients. But it's to get people into community.
Yeah, and sharing.
Sharing.
We did, me and Davion did that. Davion helped me launch the show, and he has this vegan lasagna that he makes that Davion loves.
Please invite me.
And then he likes my enchilada casserole that I make.
Oh.
So like during the pandemic, we called each other a couple times like, hey, I'll make you that if you make this.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And we swap food.
And what if you had 7 people in your little co-op, and all 7 people committed to 1 dish a week? You have meals for 7 days.
Right.
Think about that. So this small amount of food, we've already made 2 melts. We have 3 more that are cooking right now.
Still so much left.
Still so much left. So if I fed my family, if we ate, say, 8 melts, and I could commit to giving 2 melts to each person in the co-op, that's a lunch.
That's a lunch.
That's a lunch.
And you got, because I don't claim to be the best chef at everything. That's why the video that's, you know, finding people like yourself. We've had Tisha with Vegan Crave on. We've had, you know, so many great entrepreneurs, culinarians, and just coming on. So Soul came on, and just because I don't claim to be the best chef at everything. I know what I like to cook and what I'm good at cooking. So this, I would never have thought to put these ingredients together. Now, you know what I mean? It could be like, hey. And sometimes I'm lazy too. I literally message Tisha.
You want someone else to cook for you.
I'm like, Tisha, girl, buy the ingredients. I need these.
I need you to come through for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you work during the day and at night.
Right.
And at night. And you're a mom.
My shift is like split. Like I was here training somebody at 7 this morning. I went. Low key, I'm kind of out myself right now in this call. I missed the meeting. I was asleep. I forgot about it because I had to train the client in the morning at 7. So 7, got home, got Gianna in the bus, and I was like, I got a little time for a little nap. Got here, and I was like, oh shit, I missed the meeting. Well, I'm gonna be here till 8 o'clock at night. So there's a balance. Like, you know, I had to get it in somewhere.
Right.
Because I'm running around everywhere.
Now the question is, did you bring your lunch today?
No.
See? So that's why we're here. We want to feed everyone. Okay, so I want you all to get the first of these. I'm going to pull this other one out. what do you want to put? Maybe napkins?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
I
so
eat it.
we have some finished.
I'm not eating.
We
Somebody
have,
snap a picture of that. Hold on.
we have some
Y'all
finished.
bring it closer.
Absolutely.
Right.
These are the finished melts. Please screenshot it.
Come on, help me out. You guys got that. All right, I know you did. I have faith in you.
And we will have our first taste testers. I'm putting on a couple of more melts just to show you how deep this ingredient list can go as far as feeding people. And while they are doing the taste test, and while that's cooling off, because
And
I
you
don't
said
want
you
them to
take
burn
this,
themselves.
just the mixture, the salad itself for like.
Oh my God, this is the icebreaker recipe. Okay, so whether I'm going to a family event, a friend's event, or if someone is having something that they've invited me to, I'm gonna tell you I am a food snob. Please don't not invite me, just know that I'm gonna bring a little something with me. And the idea is for people to try it.
And then you told me a funny story one time you went to Cooper's house.
Yes.
And she made her own cookery. I can't say it.
Yeah, I made my own charcuterie tray. So we went to a winery, and I did call ahead, okay? I did call ahead to this winery, and it's a lovely place. It was less than an hour's drive away, and they had a wonderful selection of wines. However, when I called ahead and asked the important questions for my life, which is, do you have plant-based, and I say vegan safe, because many people don't know that there are things that are dairy-free and they still have casein in them and they still have whey in them. And when you stay away from these things, your body becomes very sensitive to them. So I didn't want to have a reaction. I'm not just like the crazy vegan. It's like, save the cows, I don't want this milk. No, I don't like feeling bad physically.
Right.
So I don't want that in my system. And I think that self-advocacy through food is kind of a thing.
Right.
So I called ahead and I said, what are the options? And I talked to one of the owners and he was so polite, and it morphed into a conversation about his daughter who's lactose intolerant and gluten intolerant. We had to get her checked, and I said, it's so interesting. So do you have anything there? Is your daughter is she of age to drink wine? He says, well, she works here sometimes. You may want to consider,
Yeah.
there's a whole population of people.
Yes, you're not being inclusive. You're being very exclusive when you don't think about those options. I went to a breakfast event one time, and there was literally nothing I could eat besides the fruit. And they're like, well, it's because you're vegan. I said, but look at the plate. Let's be, it was a frittata.
Okay, which is eggs.
2 slices of bacon, and then the fruit. I said, now you've offended a Muslim because they can't have.
Right.
They cannot.
It's not just me.
There are people that cannot have eggs.
Right. That are truly allergic.
Yeah. So like, you have to think outside of it. People just think, oh, it's a vegan. They're complaining again.
Right.
No, there's so many people that are on. Soy milk has been around. They used to make soy baby formula.
Absolutely.
Because people have not been able to digest milk
For years. And the truth is, Google this, over 80% of the world is lactose intolerant. So let's spend a little time with lactose and the reason why most of us are still holding on to dairy products. We think that rumbling in our stomach, that sometimes eczema that we have, that the allergies that we are facing, all the mucus that's in our body is because of everything else. Dairy is a very big source for some of those things. Again, I am not a doctor. I'm not saying that the reason why you have allergies is because you are still consuming dairy. What I will say is that dairy is a source of mucus. So if you need to try to, minimize the amount of mucus that you have in your body, which we all should, then eating dairy is not good. If you're having any of those other symptoms though, if you're gassy, if you're bloated, if you have eczema, if you have cancer, one of the first things they tell you to do is drop dairy. Just ask yourself why. That's all I'm gonna say. You cannot have dairy with a lot of autoimmune issues.
Right.
Why? Look into it for yourself. So there are people who have high cholesterol, right? So eating things that are vegan safe typically means that eggs are taken out of it. Eggs are a high cholesterol food. And so there are so many different reasons why adding more plants to your diet is beneficial, okay? It isn't about, again, a political statement. We've got to get out of all these titles that keep us from giving ourselves what's best for our bodies. It is about literally living your best life. We just listened to Little Duval the other day, and that is for sure one of my favorite songs, the censored and the uncensored version, because I can be a little bit better with it. So what I'm saying is living your best life, it ranges across so many different practices, and a healthy food practice, for me, is at the top of the list, because your health really is your wealth.
Right.
And when you're not feeling good, it doesn't matter what else is going on in your life. It's not good.
Yeah.
And so
it's so important, and we, you know, as African Americans, we are so food centered. We're a food centered culture. A lot of Black and brown cultures are.
absolutely.
You know? But we have to be able to do it in a healthy way. You know, because we come together. What we do when we get together, we bring all the food, right? But it's all high in fat, high in sugar,
highly processed. Yeah.
And then we're wondering, you know,
Why we feel miserable.
why we feel miserable.
And we're asleep. Just for the record, when you add more plants to your diet, you're getting immediate nutrients, right? It's like the difference between, I'm going to use a liquor reference. If you are drinking a liquor on an empty stomach, instant drunk, the absorption rate is higher through your stomach lining versus drinking it with food or having food after. So if you take fresh plants, real plants, and you start including them in your diet, and all of them don't have to be cooked. Technically, we are heating this up, but all of them do not have to be cooked. Once you add that, the absorption rate, it goes up exponentially. So the minerals, the vitamins, the oxygen that's in these plants, anything that's green, it has oxygen in it. It also has chlorophyll in it, which is beneficial to your body, just like it is to plants.
It's a natural deodorant.
You're getting all those things.
Been drinking that.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about celery, it's become a craze, the celery juice. It has a particular type of sodium in it that is only found in celery. And it's not the same as the sodium that we find in salt sources. So when you're trying to hydrate your body, celery is a really good hydration. Again, any of these plants that when you bite them, they spray water, there's your indicator. It's a plant that is good for hydration. Plus it's got great crunch. So I'm gonna go over like a couple of things that we can do with this same salad that costs us less than $20. So far, we have cranked out, you ate 2, that's 4. We have cranked out 7 of these. I have a whole nother skillet, but I didn't want to like show off working 2 and 3 skillets and us have to clean up this whole kitchen. But another recipe, a few ideas. So we talked about using it with crackers. We talked about eating it as a dip with tortilla, cassava chips, whatever you enjoy your dips. We talked about using it as lettuce wraps. I love sushi, okay? If you are looking to have sushi that is plant-based, vegan safe, this is an excellent option. Excellent option. You can choose to not put mustard relish in it or choose to put it in because it kind of is reminiscent of a California roll.
Right, yeah, it does have those kind of flavors in there.
So if you want to kick up the seafood nori flakes, you can put nori flakes in it. If you wanted to have more of a fishy, you can do the nori. You can use seaweed.
They got the crazy, I think it's called crazy tuna or like something like that. Where some of them do. I'm trying to think what.
Oh, they make actually vegan rolls.
No, but it actually look. I want to say it looks like that. It's
really?
like, but it's like.
Let me know.
But I know it's not vegan. It's not vegan. I'm trying to think what the roll is called, but it's.
Oh,
well,
California has crab in it.
Right.
Then there's spicy tuna.
Spicy tuna. That's
spicy tuna rolls. Yeah. And again, you can make this your spicy tuna if you want. If you decide that you want it to kind of make it like a croquette, you could probably add a little bit of rice flour. Again, I try to stay away from gluten, but yeah, same concept. You could add some breadcrumbs to it, and you can continue to add more ingredients to have this more. Even from a spice perspective, using Obey seasoning.
Okay.
So think about the seasonings that you use for seafood.
Right.
I've even put filet that they use in gumbo, which by the way is just sassafras. I know the whole city of New Orleans doesn't want anybody to know that, but it's sassafras leaves. So using the spices that go along with your seafood.
Okay.
You know, if you had even bay leaves, obviously crushing them up could be a little tricky. But yeah, that's another way that we can take the same dish and turn it into something else.
And that's a good thing, but people talk about meal prepping. I like to call it like meal preparing. Like it's like you got a basis, but you can do so much other stuff.
Right,
with
absolutely.
it. And so it didn't really, you can make this and then bring it with you one day and do the crackers. Bring it with you one day and do the tortillas.
You're just recycling. You're just recycling things.
You could lettuce wrap. You could toast some what's it bread, Genesis bread or the sprouted bread or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of funny was, so when I went to go to shopping for you, and I was looking at the list, and she said tortillas on. I'm thinking, and I went back and she said corn tortillas. How is this gonna taste with corn tortillas? I was a little worried.
You were worried.
I was a little
right.
worried.
Because you were like, why not flour?
That's literally. I was like, why not flour?
Well, I'll tell you again. Thinking about a budget, you can buy 100 corn tortillas for like $3. Okay.
And for the same $3, you only got 10 or 8 flour.
Absolutely. Plus, it swells up in your stomach a little faster.
The portion size.
Yeah, all of it.
But actually, the flavor it gave
a little more to it, right?
To it, yeah.
It's really nice. We've done it in street tacos. So let's talk about entertaining with this dish, right? So this same dish can be put on crostinis, like those cute little like Melba toast. And you can put whatever you want to garnish it. That's when you can actually use the scallion onion on top.
Put it on bagel seasoning.
Oh man, everything, baby, you can go crazy. You can go crazy with this. Put it on a platter and watch people lose their minds. Even serving dishes, again, shouts out to all of my dollar stores out in the world. You can buy all types of really beautiful I love glassware, and part of the reason why I love it is it's sanitary and it highlights the food. I really try to have a plastic-free kitchen because I cook with a lot of spices, and plastic is permeable, it breathes, so whatever the flavors are, they can get stuck in there. I don't want to make something because I use so much garlic and onion and try to use the same bowl and make something that's sweet and it's sweating garlic and onion and I'm just done, right? So that's an easy way to kind of expand your kitchen repertoire. But you guys give me some ideas that maybe come to mind now that you've tasted it, other versatile options.
That definitely like when you do your board, your charcuterie board, or the charcuterie
board. Okay.
Charcuterie board. That I think that adding that to that with a nice creamy little Miyoko's cheese or something like that.
Yes.
Having a play on the really soft creamy cheese to this texture. Doing that, you could do flautas, so you could do them.
Flautas, yes, fried flautas.
Do flautas.
You could. We can even change the flavor profile. So we made this into a tuna. You will have to add some type of moisture back in it, but this could be used as a fill for, plant-based tortillas, burritos, any of those things. Just change the flavors. Add cumin. Ooh, yes.
Like a sweet chili. So like they have those packets of the chicken and the tuna with all those different seasonings.
Yes.
You could literally do like what's it called? Sweet chili, lemon pepper.
Ooh, I like that.
It doesn't have to be, because again, this does have a little more like a tuna-y flavor. Right. But it's what we chose, right?
We chose the condiments that usually go in the tuna.
Right.
So that is what plant-based cooking is about, is changing the textures, the flavor profiles to suit what it is that you desire. So this is a challenge to everyone out there.
Call to action.
Call to action. Write down your top 3 restaurants. Write down what your favorite dish is from those restaurants. And then start unpacking what you like about the dish.
Right.
Look up the recipe. Likely it is something beyond the meat for those of us who are still flexitarians who love to eat everything. Most of the time what you love about it isn't necessarily the meat. Now I will put this disclaimer, because even though it's been more than 20 years ago since I ate meat, I do know that in cooking meat, handling meat, and eating meat, one of the things that people love is its flesh. And I know this sounds gross, but I mean, essentially it's muscles, and they're porous, so they really absorb those flavors. So what it is that you like is the texture that's holding the flavor.
Right. Okay.
So if you can figure out another media to hold the same flavor, you might mess around and eat something healthy and plant-based that will digest easier in your system.
Right.
So that is a challenge. Once you do that, once you look the recipe up, this is when we get very creative. And you can always DM me. I'm on Instagram and PlantChicks, Instagram and Facebook at PlantChicks, all together, PlantChicks, all together, one word, lowercase. It should look like this. If you have questions about how to handle food, plants, because again, there is moisture in them, I'm happy to talk to you. But one of the challenges, how can I make a traditional dish, plant-based, and load it with all the things that I need for my body? Right. That's a challenge that I take on a regular basis. Right. Like, I will take someone's favorite recipe. Over the holidays, I do love macaroni and cheese. And I just thought to myself, you know what? I really want some fancy truffle macaroni and cheese.
You can make tuna mac with this.
Tuna mac, you heard it here
Tuna
last.
mac. So, Maddie, call out to Maddie. Shout out to Maddie.
Oh, yes, Maddie.
So, can you send me some mac and cheese? I'm going to put this in y'all mac and cheese, because y'all mac and cheese is fire.
With your special cheese sauce, too. Right?
Whatever it is, I can't get it right. I'm just trying to make it at home.
It's magic, is what it is.
Right, whatever it is. And I had, this weekend I had their tofu brisket. I don't know what they did to that tofu.
We don't know, and it doesn't matter.
Fine.
You're out here saving lives.
Yes.
That's all we can tell you. So that's one challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I always love to leave people with, because it's the #1 question that people ask, where do you get your protein from? Where do we get our protein from? Everyone that eats cows and pigs, and you could eat an elephant, and all of them are vegetarians. They weigh more than us, they're stronger than us. Mm-hmm. Their muscle mass is denser than ours. They live off of vegetables. So you don't have to get protein from the middleman. You can go directly to the protein source.
Yeah.
Eat vegetables. They are high in protein. If you are not, and like you said, someone said, I'm too old. You're too old to not eat vegetables. I've actually heard grown adults say, I really don't like vegetables. Well, you know, there are grains. Start focusing on ancient grains. For people who study the Bible, own a Bible, read the Bible, make ride, buy a Bible, have the Bible app. Look into the Bible for the grains that are in there. Teft, amaranth, millet, all of those. Farro, yes. All of those grains are easier on our system, and all of them are higher in protein than any rice that we eat, with the exception of black rice, which, by the way, isn't really rice, but we'll talk about that later. Black rice. So if you don't like vegetables, try to get quinoa. Quinoa has become more available in terms of price, and it works beautifully as a healthy grain. You can make it almost into a meaty substance. It's all in how you cook it.
I had it this weekend, so I got a part-time job at a bartender on the weekend. And so shout out to Taylor, that's where I'm at. I'll be there Saturday if you want to come check me out. Taylor's on every night. But so, and I've been like, hey, you know, what do you got that vegan plate tape? I just really been sticking to the sweet potato fries because I didn't really know.
You were just like, that's it, I'm staying right here.
And then so she's like, no, look at the menu. And I looked, and they had these veggie street tacos. And so the only thing on there was like they had sour cream and then a queso fresco. So I took that off. But the main filler was quinoa as the meat substitute. It was fabulous. So I took out the sour cream, the queso fresco, and I substituted guac with it.
Yes.
And then it comes with like onion and I think jalapeno on it. So it was so good. I never thought to season my quinoa like a taco.
Yes, and you can cook it to where it isn't as grainy. Yeah. In a crock pot or an Instant Pot, and that will allow you to get more flavor cooked into it. Plus, it'll soften it up.
It was so good. I didn't know you could do that with quinoa, but yeah, quinoa is a really good for protein. There's so much out there that has a lot of protein.
I tried the new place, the True Food Kitchen.
Oh yeah.
They have these quinoa banana pancakes.
Change your life, huh?
Like
So
that.
they're so good.
Yeah.
And then
So good. Don't even know it's
I'm gonna have to try that out.
I'm so glad I'm here with these foodies. Like, you
Right.
understand, this is my real life.
And then being in the fitness industry, you know, because that's where we hear it the most. You know, or it's either how are you still fit,
Right.
Or why are you, or you hit on a muscle.
vegetables.
Right, exactly.
Because literally we just fried food.
Clearly, we are not withering away. Like,
Not
eating plant-based doesn't mean you just instantly turn into a rail. I will warn people who are making the transition, though, oftentimes we run to very carb, starchy, heavy options. And so from a digestive standpoint, it's helpful sometimes to keep your carbs and starches with your vegetables separate from your fats, you know, and then so you can eat vegetables with fats, you can eat vegetables with starch. When you eat your starches and your fats together, that is a different digestive process, and for some people it may assist in either maintaining weight or gaining weight.
Yeah.
And the time of day you eat,
The type of training,
frequency that you eat.
I introduced you to Tory Wilson of Washington. He's an international bodybuilder, and he only eats plants. And he does not track his food at all.
No,
I've been studying this guy, and he doesn't eat a lot of meat alternatives. I'm like, it's so, but he is ripped. I think he comes in and it shows 2% or less body fat, literally. And it's all how he trains. It's the timing of food.
Yes.
How much of the food, pairing the foods with what.
Right. For digestive.
Because you have to learn your body. And, you know, that's the hardest thing. We're so instant gratification.
Right.
And we want it to work just now, but not understanding we've been eating wrong for years, so we have to detrain our body
and let it heal.
You let it heal, because like we might be in a fat storage mode because that's just how we've trained our body. You have to detrain your body to do that, so it can go into a fat burning mode.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, a muscle storing mode. There's different ways. Cause I think when I was in the highest amount of protein I was getting per day was probably 330 grams. That's a lot, but I was hitting it. And people are like, how? If you look at how much protein is in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then, you know.
And you can Google high protein vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, there are plenty.
We did a lot of quinoa bowls, brown rice bowls. There's this really good, I've used it on the show before, Long Jeb or Noble Plates meat crumbles. And those, I want to say it's like 45 grams of protein per serving.
Yeah.
And these in their non-soy.
They're probably pea protein. Pea protein.
And it looks like a ground turkey or something like that. You know. And so doing a lot of that, you know, we did beans, I do tofu, you know, things like that, but it was easy to hit. I'm not well, you don't look super muscular yet. Building muscle takes time.
Yes.
But if you watch, then
I've watched your transformation.
My fat is, you know,
I've watched your transformation. It is amazing.
Changing my body to a fat burning machine rather than a fat storage machine, and the muscle will come because that just takes time. That's literally gym and eating.
Absolutely, and hydration.
Yeah.
Have you watched on Netflix Game Changers?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
that's all the athletes.
Go on to Netflix and watch Game Changers.
That's all the guys.
Right. What the Hell is great. If you haven't seen it, watch it. You know, was it Forks Over Knives? All of those are fantastic. Game Changers, though, having been an athlete myself, getting the question all the time.
Every day.
Where do you get your protein? Where do you get your energy? I don't ever run out of energy. And the truth is, when you start eating plant-based, your digestive process is so much smoother. I don't have these kinks in the line, right? And usually when I'm low energy, it is because of a lack of sleep. I'm gonna say that. During my moon flow, I have to pick up more chicory root. More pumpkin seeds are very high in iron. Molasses is high in iron.
Really?
So people that think they're anemic, borderline, always cold, sometimes you're vitamin D deficient, sometimes you're vitamin B deficient. But
I was vitamin C. I was telling you a story. I was iron deficient at one point in time, and they were giving me a pretty high dosage of iron.
Oh, and iron backs up your stools. Fake iron
but
backs you
then
up.
come to find out,
It wasn't bad at
It
all.
had nothing to do with that. My vitamin C was low.
Wow.
And once I started carrying like my iron pill with vitamin C, then my iron went back to normal. So there it was. It had nothing to do with anything else but mine. And then I don't even take iron supplement anymore.
Wow. How are we on time?
We're over time. It's all
Oh
right.
my gosh.
We're at
We have-
I'm like, we just gonna keep going because this is great information. If y'all didn't gather all this,
Here we are.
Gotta bring
This
clothes.
is
Yeah,
it. This
So-
is vegan tuna melts. If you want the recipe, I
we will
will
post,
share
I'll
it.
post a picture of it in the thing, and I will remember the time. You guys gotta remind me because they're like, "Who didn't post the recipe?" You gotta remind me because you're already doing 25 and everything. But yes, this was amazing. This
Thank
is
you
so
for having
good.
me.
So good.
So good. And this
First time trying this cheese. Very
Thai
good.
life is the truth. I
Help
like-
you get your life.
Right, and that mayonnaise didn't turn out too bad.
No, and in this recipe, it probably
Sun
was
Fresh
a
off
little
of Westport, the Mill Road one. Is that Sun Fresh? That's Sun Fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Sun Fresh. So that's what it was.
Funny.
But it was a green, what's it called? Green Garden? No. Green Garden. They actually have a lot of their different products
You want to
there.
have some? You wanna have some?
Which I know. And then they had like, looks like salad dressing and a whole bunch of other things. And this was $4.99. And it looks like it has a little less fat than some of your other ones. I think
Yeah.
like other vegan mayonnaise have 90 to 100 calories. This has 70. So
I am going to definitely try it. I haven't actually
So not-
tasted it yet.
not bad. Because they had that. They had your regular follow your heart vegan eggs, but even that small thing of vegan eggs was like $6-7. So what are
Absolutely.
the prices of this?
Well, let's dig in.
Yeah.
Let's eat.
We're gonna eat.
So I just want to say thank you,
Thank you.
both of you all, for
Thank
hosting
you.
me. Please continue wherever you are in your culinary path at Plants. Check out PlantChicks if you are a plant-based chef or culinarian that wants support. The Afri Plant-Based, go ahead, show off. The Afri Plant-Based Collective is here for people who identify as African descendants throughout the diaspora who are working on healing people through plant-based food practices. So I am grateful. Thank you for having me. And
Thank you
we're
for
about
coming
to eat.
This was great. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, share it, comment, give it some love. If you are someone that wants to try this recipe or try this recipe after we air this, please send us pictures, send us photos, tag. You can have Linwood's page, myself, Teela, Sherrie, or PlantChicks, and so we can see what you've done. If you have any ideas, or what did you decide to do with this, the salad mixture? What else did you create with it? Let us know how what you did with it. We'd love to see it. If you want to become a guest, you let me know. Email me, TeelaMaxwell@KansasCityYMCA.org. This Saturday, a couple announcements. This Saturday is Linwood Day. The official Linwood Day. We normally do a back to school event. We're not going to have, back to school items, school supplies. Most schools aren't requiring supplies this year, which is amazing. But also too, there's so many other great organizations that are giving out this stuff, so we'll let them handle that. We're just going to open up the center for a free fun day. So the pool will be open. We'll have the bounce house open. We're going to be out there grilling for you guys. Of course, there'll be some vegan options for you. I'm going to give you guys some vegan options to have. We have a special performance from the Black Creatures. If you don't know who they are an amazing local band, Afro-futuristic vibe. They really good, so they're going to be giving us a free show. So I appreciate them that they're going to give back to the community with that. So come check us out Saturday 10 to 2. And then we have coming up in September, we'll have Welcoming Week, which I kind of talked about that as well, which we'll have, her name is Jenna. She will be doing a Roots and Rhythm live drumming yoga class. She kind of does like an intuitive dance yoga vibe. You just gotta come catch the vibe because it's super dope. Live drumming. It'll be Friday night, September 10th, kicking off Welcoming Week, where that's kind of like an open house for the building as well. That event will be 5 for members, 10 for non-members. And then, of course, Mix It tonight at 5:30. So I hope to see you guys come dance with me tonight. I'm going to be good and fed. So we'll have lots of energy to blow off. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Gabby.
Still from my face.
Gabby has production manager. Listen, she's in the back. Lawson. executive producer today.
Absolutely. We've got a full crew here. Linwood knows how to welcome you, how to give you a beautiful kitchen, and how to set it all up. I love it.
All right, happy Wednesday, y'all. Wellness Wednesday. We're eating raw. Well, we cooked it a little bit, but you know, raw tuna melts, carrot tuna melts, and then because we juiced them, we have the carrot juice now. So using the whole item, the whole food, nothing with the waste of all, even the scraps are going to her compost for her garden. So cheers, Wellness Wednesday.
All right, bring it in, ladies. All right, what is that? It's not a shot. It's just that.
Ooh, this is good.
Apples, carrots, ginger juice. Heard it here first. I feel healthy. Check this out, PlantChicks. I feel healthy. And that juice is super filling. Super filling. So if you're hungry and you can't get the food,